Start. So over on the left of the steering wheel is the selector for the navigation in the gauge cluster. So you use the dial to make your choice to navigate around, and then use the select button to actually choose an option. And then you have the back button to get out of that. So just to show some of the options that are available down here at the bottom, gauge cluster, got navigation, got routes A and B, remaining oil life, which has been very helpful, tire pressure, vehicle messages, come back to that, unit, and tutorial information only available in park, which we are, and energy flow. So we go back to vehicle messages. Current one is charging cord connected. The back button and back again. There's also a configure button, which allows you to change the display of the gauge cluster from one with an accelerator and brake diagram over on the right to one without. It basically swaps the gas icon from the top left corner down to the lower right side, and then back again. Just a quick look also at the tutorial and information. Tutorial gives you little bubbled messages for each of the display options. If you click configure, it will then change the bubbles to fit the configuration we're currently displaying. Back, and then turn the dial to information. Back, and you can have a display up of the energy in the gauge cluster. I haven't found that super helpful. Navigation option, but it doesn't seem to actually do anything. And then you have your trips. A, trip B with average fuel economy, how many gallons have been used. When you do get your oil changed, you can come here, select, and reset so that it starts back at 0, which I do not want to do at this time, and mine is currently at 53%. Tire pressure is, of course, useful to check once in a while. And units, metric, and that will change your layout to kilometers. And there's an overview of some of the features on the navigation at the bottom of the gauge cluster. So the interface on the center stack of the 2013 Chevy Volt is primarily touch capacitive, so most of the buttons do not actually depress. The exceptions for that are your energy gauge button, which will allow you to toggle through the different screens here you can also choose them on the touch screen. Another button that is not touch capacitive is the drive mode button. We'll cover that in a little bit. Also the unlock and lock buttons over on the right. Also, you have a actual knob if the radio is going, with the power on and off for the volume in the center. You also have a tune button, and again, if it's not functioning as a tune button, it will help navigate around the different options on the touch screen. And of course, you can also touch as well. This particular home screen has been configured to the options I want on here, and there are additional ones if you use the next and previous buttons to see those options. One more button that is not touch capacitive is the hazard lights. Many of the buttons on the center stack are duplicated, such as climate here and also here, that allow you to get to the same screen either way. Also, the temperature up and down is touch capacitive, as well as the fan. Even the heated seats are touch capacitive. Some of the options available on the center stack have changed over the years. This one is a 2013, so it has info and phone on these locations. Others will have tone or phone down here instead, depending on the year. Overall, we've been happy with the instrumentation that's available, both in the gauge cluster and on the touchscreen. We have not been as happy with the center stack and the touch capacitive buttons. You have to take your eyes off the road, and they're not always where you expect them to be. Part of the layout is that they have to be so far apart in order for them to differentiate. There is a slight raised surface for each button as well to try and help with some of that, but it's not ideal. A lot of the common functions are also replicated on the steering wheel as far as for phone or radio. One issue we have come across is if you're listening to the radio and you want to change the climate settings, you can do that, and then you have to go back into source in order to change the radio. Or if you're in radio and want to change, you have to get all the way into the climate settings in order to adjust it, and then you're stuck there. You don't necessarily go back to the radio. One workaround for this issue is, instead of trying to use the center stack for changing the source or radio, is to use the dedicated buttons on the steering wheel on the left hand side. You push in for source, or you can toggle up or down for changing the radio stations. One other aspect I wanted to cover is the drive modes and what those are. If you select the drive mode button over on the console, you briefly get a view of your different options, and then it goes away. Once you click, if you click again, then it will toggle through your different options. Basically, normal is what you will default to, and then if you click twice, it'll take you down to sport, which will then change down in the bottom right corner to say sport. That makes the car much more responsive. If you click 3 times, it will take you to mountain mode, and again it displays down in the bottom right. This basically gives you an opportunity to retain some of your energy or regain energy into the battery as you're going up and down mountains. You'll see the display for the battery also has changed over on the left. And finally, if you take it down to hold, that will take the available battery and save it and focus mainly on the engine and gas option. And then click one more time, and that will again default you back to normal. The display changes, as you can see.
And if you like this content, please be sure to subscribe, hit the bell icon, and give us a like.